Do you ever hear the word gospel dropped? I mean, that's what the word gospel means when you hear it. It means the good news of Jesus. Do you know what the good news of Jesus is? The greatest story. It's that God is a personal God. That He's not disconnected or uncaring. That He's not too big or too busy to be concerned about you. Like, the good news is that God is a personal God who knows you, who sees you, who understands you, who sees your pain and your struggle and your suffering and your failures and your good moments and your worst moments and all of it, and loves you no matter what. I mean, it's a personal story about a personal God who wants to reach you on a personal level. I mean, that's the good news, the gospel. It's the greatest story. It's also a story that's broken. And we know that because of the brokenness we've experienced and the brokenness we've dealt out. And just like we talked about on week 2 of this series, all of that brokenness and pain, it's got a root, and the root of it is sin. And the sin biblically means missing the mark, God's intended mark for us, His perfect mark for us, His perfect plan for us. It's a broken story, but God wouldn't let our story end in brokenness and death. So it's a rescue story. Imagine Philip telling this guy about this one Jesus that was prophesied about throughout the entire Old Testament. From the beginning of Genesis all the way through, this story had been pointing to Jesus, this Messiah, the time when God would come down to be among His people, to live among them, to offer sacrifice and rescue for them, and a hope for them that they could never accomplish or earn on their own. All of it had pointed to Him. And then Philip, he starts talking about this story. That's Jesus that came to earth, that He walked with, that He talked with. It's Jesus who is perfect, who never failed, who willingly went to a cross for us to offer a sacrifice we could never make on our own, or to offer us a way back, something we could never create with our own hands, to offer us forgiveness and hope and resurrection. And in Jesus, how He died and was buried 3 days and rose again, and how that tomb still stands empty. Philip talking about the resurrected Jesus. Can you imagine when this guy started to understand that this wasn't just a personal story, it wasn't just a broken story, but it was a rescue story, and in fact the rescuer had come for him to offer him hope, and that hope could be experienced in life now, but it's a hope that could be experienced in eternity too. Can you imagine his excitement when he started to realize that everything he had been searching for was found? Through the pain and the success, his story, this Ethiopian eunuch, was being redefined by faith in the greatest story ever.